Hi. So I've been working on this Common Tools 2020 kit for a while now, updating it for all the development I'd done in the past, and just bringing it into the kit um, for use by everyone else. And I just want to start off with install. The install is just drop it into unzip and drop it into your kits folder, and then reset prefs and restart. And then the big change is not like change, has been there for a while, but let's get for the new people, get them up and running with it. So come up to this button here, click on that, go to custom, add custom A. Any one of these will work. And then click on this little arrow on the side, come down to toolbars and creation with properties. This brings up the tool set, and so there's a lot of little features that everything here you can find elsewhere and whatnot. And you see a lot of the similarity things. So we're thinking, why do I need this here or this here? And the intent is to one, get all the tools that you need on a regular modeling task, or and put it all in one spot. So this here, I put some nice bright buttons, large buttons to be able to get, versus trying to find this here. You can do it with this here, but sometimes getting that spot is difficult. Here's a much easier button to turn that on and off. So when this is all collapsed, you got a very large workspace to work with. So now we have all the buttons and tools we need to work with, but and a workspace that you can work with, not get cramped with all the toolbars and buttons and everything else that's on the side is cramping it up. So now we have our tool set here, and along with this here, there's also a bunch of shortcut keys that a lot of them are using the same default keys that we normally see for. But I got the scripts attached to them, so they do the same functions, but some of them are contextual now based on if you have vertex or edges or polys, or depending on how many you have selected. So the features, so enough talking at this point here. So it's not about just repackaging, it's about repackaging and improving upon what's existing. So I'm going to start with this polygon here, this cube, and so we got the cube. Start editing the cube, and I'm just kind of go through the top to bottom some of the key features that you'll see here. And so I'm going to start. So I just added a cube. I'm going to subdivide this. Let me actually turn on my pointer focus. There. So now you can see my cursor and keystrokes. And so the first thing, again, do that. And we're going to select, I'm just going to select a couple of squares. And this is so we have insert, create new cube. We have insert into existing mesh. But we all now have insert to scale. And this scales the unit cube to the selection and places it on the selection. And it works for, this is using, clear out, Alt, and then the button that you want. And whatever uses the area that you select to make that determination. So if you're trying to fit into a cube, it doesn't go to the minimum size, it goes to the longest size. As you saw, it was a fairly long piece, so it's using that area there. And I also created this pill shape, which is again does that was a unit insert. So the pill will go with the direction of your selection. And so that's the main thing there. Next, let's move on down. So I'm just gonna create some stuff here. So we have let's see, copy, paste. So now we've got this polygon sitting up here, right on everything. We have the mesh cleanup tool. I use that a lot, and I generally don't do this option here because I want to know whether or not it's done anything. Sometimes I'm having issues with a mesh, and I want to know that, oh, the issue was resolved, or that wasn't the issue, or whatever. So I want this to pop up. So if I also if the polygon's still there, if I just hide this and see the polygon still there, on hide it's flipped. This is the align polys tool, and it'll fix the entire mesh with that. That's just the standard tool from Modo. Recalculate the normals, soften all edges and harden all edges. Press Control and you can harden and soften the whatever is selected. You can yeah. And then we have our dimension tool. It just pops on the dimension tool so you can see the max dimensions of whatever you have selected. And then this guy here is your absolute scale, and hold down the button, you get all of the precision tools for scaling and dragging and whatnot. Let's see, let's get rid of this and pop in a new one and move this up. I use this tool a lot, and say I have something here and I just want to line things up to a center line, or bring everything to 0. I don't really care if it's changes the geometry a little bit, but just so this here sets your 0, whatever number you want. And in the process of me setting up my shortcut keys, and I found I never really used the locking but features very often. So I removed those from the shortcut keys and created a pop-up menu for them here. So now I still have that access, but it's on such an infrequent use that I put it on a pop-up menu rather than on shortcut keys. So again, here we have, let's modify this guy a little bit and put him over there. So here we have the center tool, very similar to the way Modo has it presented over in this side over here. But if you hold down Alt, you can also get the pop-up button, the pop-up dialog there. Now let's see, I'm going to add some loops to this. Some of you may recognize this next icon here, which is Edge Flow tool from Mario Baldi. This is a paid kit. Highly recommend getting it. But I'll put the link in the description below. This tool is very good. Basically, will even out your selection within your mesh and maintaining a lot of your volume and whatnot. So if I just do that, do this, I can now, it only affects whatever's selected, but because it's so basic geometry, it did that. And then we also have, this is the ring select tool. I did that because for me, doing Alt L, which is the still in the shortcut, is just a difficult keyboard shortcut to manage with having with one hand or having to take my hand off the mouse. I get rid of that, put another one in here, and subdivide it a few times. Oops, I don't do that many times. I'm just gonna lift this up, create a similar here, and then this is the coplanar selection tool. And you can adjust the amount of distortion from coplanar to be able to select this entire surface or not. Very, very useful. This is the shortest edge, so the shortest path tool. And then lazy selection, if you want to toggle those on and off. This one here is my center. I'll go over that in a minute. I will circle back to this tool. This is center pivot mesh tool, my construction tool. There's videos on how to use these already. So let me actually go to this one. Construction. For this release, I did make an major update to the configure backdrop. So what the new part is, before you just used to do top only. I've added the different perspectives however you want to. If you're setting up a profile reference drawings for something, you want front, you want side, you want top, so you want all those. So I didn't want to keep it limited. So this now provides that capability. So I'm going to just do a quick little demonstration of this, and you can also use something that's already been loaded. You don't have to go through the process. So I'm going to start with something that's new. Give it a name. Let's do a front, and then comes with dialogue. Civic. Okay, so the video, I just got the image brought in. It looks distorted and whatnot. It's not what we're looking for. Okay, so I got the dimensions for this here, and the idea is you start off by taking this. Oops. You start off by taking this red square, and you put it over what you know the dimensions are. So, okay, and you have to give a width and a height dimension. So whatever you have to. So, but you're basically reshaping this whole thing to meet what you say it is. So, make sure that's selected. I'm gonna make sure that the red box is selected, and then so the length of the square and the length of the car is 183 inches, and then 57 inches here, and then just press. And if you want at this point, so you see it's in metric. You press English, and it'll convert it to. That's not right. I must have did that wrong. 50.83 inches. And 15 feet 3 inches, 4 feet 9 inches tall, and you can use to convert between each of the different units that Modo supports. So using the default settings, I didn't think it was necessary to go in and give resolution to like centimeters, millimeters, and whatnot. That would be on a personal preference. If you want to set that, then you'd go into the preferences menu. You can also see that same feature right here, so you can make that quick change easily. So anyways, we go in and press the button, and you can now see that it now looks like a normal looking car. Might have had something off because the wheels aren't quite round, but the idea is there. So you can see that this now meets, or I had it right here before, height, width, and the car is indeed looking more like a car versus the squish that it was before. So that was the big change for the floor plan tool that was part of the construction kit. And let's see, where were we? Throw one of these guys in here. So let me do, no, let's just, there we go. So this tool here takes whatever's selected, and in this case nothing was selected, so everything was selected, and gives you, since I'm in polygon mode, it gives you the area of what you have selected. Useful for architectural designs and working there, and just setting up areas that you might need. So when you have a polygon selected, it gives you the dimensions, the data for area. And so that's what they have there. If I have vertex, you can only select 2 vertices, but they don't have to be right next to one another. You can select this one here, and it will give you the vector distance of, make it even more complicated, here to here. So I go there, and it'll give me the distance between those 2 points. And again, if I want to know, okay, how is it far from here to there, and then come over here. Oops, do that. They don't have to be consecutive. It essentially just adds up the length of every edge, and press the button, and it'll give you how far that is. Go height the bottom, and it should be 1. There you go. And if I do here to here, and then that, it should be just a little bit. Okay. This tool, next tool, is let's do this here. Do 2 examples on this. One, so you got a mesh, has a lot of points. Oops. Okay. All right, so we have this nice, we have this really high definition curve that we don't want to work with. We were planning to go into a low poly scenario here. So I'm going to redefine this. I'm going to use 8 points, and then I'm going to go bevel, and let's see, I do not want to be thickening. That's make sure that's turned off, and then go here. So go like this, and then here. Now we go. This isn't still an endgon. We want to fix this. So we select this line, put the cursor over the polygon which you want to triple, and press Shift T. That's it. Control Shift T to triple the polygon, and it was that simple. So we back up a little bit. So you saw when I had the let's hide this. When I have a dialog, a tool open, I get this button popping up. This is using the Modo, standard Modo system. If I go into Preferences, here we go. So under UI, you can change that feature. So I prefer inline. So whenever I have a tool open, it goes there. And oops. That is another. So that's one usage of this tool. Okay, so now we got a lot of polygons, or these that we don't want. So we're going to demonstrate this. So now I just want to get here like so, and then like that, and I do 12. Okay, so for this reason, This is no longer an H. I want to get rid of this, but I need to make sure I maintain the endpoints. So Control Alt X will cut those and do remove edge, keep verts, which is the same tool here, but it's a lot easier to do a shortcut than go over here and find it. And you can do a problem with Shift G is it finds the shortest route to get there, so you need to, you can select these, run the script, and do another 12 here, and be done with it. You can run through these types of very complex outlines of models very quickly with this tool. Here we have a bunch of third-party tools. These 3 lines, including this one. This is tools that I've put together. So this is technically third-party, but when we have some other third parties, we have Mechanical Color, Solo, and because I use that for soloing items within a scene, and then we have the Hatchet, Coolidge, and Poly. The Pushing Points Topology Collection and the Polystyrene tools here, and we have Eteria's tool set in here. This one is Slick, Raw, and then Richard Yacht's a couple of his material presets, like so. And I'll go through that in just a minute with why would I have these if I don't have, maybe you didn't buy these. So I should do that right now. So you go up here to CNC options, and this feature toggles. So you can go in here and turn off a lot. Most of them are by rows, but within this section here, you can turn things on and off very specifically. So I can turn off you can turn off all of these. All these third-party ones, pushing points, and now I've gotten rid of a bunch of different things. I show solo, so I get some space back. So that essentially means now that when I'm working over here, I have more room for my properties. Thankfully, we can do scroll wheel to move around there now. That's a great feature. So yeah, you can turn all of these on and off, and if you don't want them, you can turn them all except for this one. I need to leave something in there. So, and apparently I gotta create a button for this guy to show up. So anyways, okay, so I was discussing the feature with this tool and the keep edge, remove edge, keep verts. If you don't like it's switching modes on you like that, you can toggle this on and it will keep those will keep the modes for you. So if you're in edge mode when you're using the remove edge keep verts, you'll stay in that rather than flip over to verts, and vice versa with this one. So close that for now. Okay, these put back together. So we have our selection sets, verts, vertex normal tools. Now on the scene, you don't see any cameras. I gotta turn it off, but this button here allows you to turn it, because when you're modeling, you don't need to see the camera. It's turned off. Same with the lights. Let me get rid of this. Put that in there. There. So this tool here is in order for this to work, you need to have under remapping and trackball. Trackball rotation needs to be, I think, either on or off. So when I click on this, see how it turned it off? Now trackball, the orbit features, whatever is selected will here. That's it's a two option thing. So if you are one of those that uses trackball rotation while turned on, then this will maintain that while you're, so it remembers, turn that off, it turns it back on, and it's no longer or orbiting. So a lot of the features that I've implemented are, done so that maintain your user preferences, walks you through so to maintain errors, minimize errors. It lets you know why something went wrong and that sort of thing. Same with the silhouette function. It's another 2-button feature that you need to see. It's in visibility, I think, somewhere. Trying silhouette. So you need to turn it on here, and you need to go into your here and then show as silhouette. So this manages that feature for you. If I go in here and add this guy and do that, this shows everything the same, shows front and back, all selected and unselected, the same. Let me select the cube, get out of the way, so we can do that. But now if we go here, it will toggle them on and off, both of them. Or if I just do one. So let's see. And then we have this section here, which is basically what I call the element edit tools. All the tools that aren't at your fingertips already on a shortcut, and these are all organized based on what they're actually doing. So if you're working for edges or vertexes or polys, you'll find those specific tools in there. And then this one here, this easy move. I actually did a video on that, so I'm not going to go into that. And then, so we have, let's see, work with my square. It's easier to work with. Okay, let's hide this guy. Okay, so we're going to do some of the shortcut keys. Start with triple. I mentioned triple, that there's a couple of different things. So again, I'm going to cut these guys, and I should have left this guy here. So if I want to triple this section here, I can just select a single vert, Shift T, with the cursor over the poly you want to do. If you do, if I say I want to put a triple here, I want to triple this guy here. So select the vert, put the cursor over the poly you want to triple, and fire the command. So now I've selected some items. If I do, however, if I do a single or any polygon, then I can when I want to triple, I actually want to do something here. So this doesn't actually fire a triple. It fires a you can use the option triple or spiky. So I do spiky, you can do and still have the controls to run that. Or if I go over here, I select again, Shift triple, and now it'll triple the what's selected. Now if I'm in, say, vert mode, which I already demonstrated here, that if I triple that, it'll do that, that's fine. But if I'm in vert mode but nothing selected, fired, it'll triple everything. Same goes for edge mode, nothing selected. If I select this here, cursor here, I get that. But if I have nothing selected, fired again, I get everything tripled. However, in polygon mode, if I do that, I get the option. So this way I can still do spiky on the entire mesh if I want. So now it brings me to, so I showed you if I did Control Alt cut, Control Alt X, it will remove, it'll remove the edges, keep the vert. But if I do bring that back, bring here and select those and do the same command, I get just a merge polys, which removes it doesn't leave the vert behind. And then if I do bring that back, and then same for that, I get nothing happens with a vert selected because it doesn't nothing to do. So I could add it to just cut it, but that's the same command as this here, and that's not really the family of tool I'm looking for. So let's cut this, add a new one. Let's do edge slicing, adding loops and such. So if I want to add a loop to this, I can do Shift E is what I have that mapped to. Shift E for that in any feature, any edge selection mode, and I can do that. I also have some. So if I want to actually just back up there. So one more time. If I add this and press B, now I have both, or toggle that on and off, or I just want to split it in the middle, and I can do that. And then same with, but nothing selected. But if I do one selected and do same command, now I've got add slices, or the slice loop tool. With E you increment, D you decrement the number of slices. And there's a couple other commands I don't have off the top of my head, but that's provided. The shortcuts are provided with the download. So let's see. Let's cut that, add a new one, and then so brings me to the next adding loops and cuts and whatnot. Let's do one more. So I want that. There you go. So with which brings the knife tool, or the knife tool and split polygon tool. If I just press C, which I believe is still a standard Modo tool, brings up the knife tool. Let me set this up the way I like to work, and then I can do that normally. But if I do two vert select and press C, I will cut them. Or if I do multiples here, press C, it'll split them that way as well. Let's see. Now let's move this to the side. It's a little laggy. I think that's because I'm recording my screen, but. I press, so we have these verts here. If I press V, I get that. But if I want to do V here, it'll, again, same command, V and V for spin edge, spin edge, spin poly for the same command. Put that back to where it was. There we go. And then also, so let's see, move that there. But Shift V. I now get a pop-up, and everything that is, I have a mirror, I have multiple mirror options. So one of the tools I created was Slice Mirror Merge, and you just pick the one you want, and it will, or just bring up the mirror tool, and good to go there. However, if you pull up that same menu and press Shift, you get the mirror instance. These are still the same. Mirror instance. And all the other instance tools, if I do Control, I get the replica option for those same tools. So anywhere I'm replicating, copying, mirroring, whatnot, cloning, they're all here. Mirror, clone, ray, whatnot, so forth. And you can go get all the options there. That, again, was Shift V as a pop-up menu. See, I did that one. Bevel. So let's quickly touch on Bevel. I didn't do too much here other than a couple of actually, let's close that. Do that, cut. Alright, so the big thing here with Bevel is that when you do a single plane, you need to thicken it, T gives you the thicken option. You can toggle that on and off. You can also with E and D, that's a standard combo. E for increment, D for decrement for the different tools that are here. Thicken that again, and that also works with bevel, edge bevel. So, and same with edge vertex. That's a bit high there. Okay, so there's that. So now if I do clone, let's see, clone here, Shift V, and clone. Select that. I got 2. But if I do E and D, I can increment, decrement those tools. B changes that for the between function here. And again, E and D. Let's see, what else do we have? So we have, again, we have this here. So if you don't even want to have this up, you just want to work in this large workspace here, you can press 8, pop up this menu to get the same tools that you want, which is, you can just set that size, you can keep this floating, or you can just get rid of it. 8 again is a keyboard there. If you do, so let's do another little thing. We have 7 brings up the item manager, and let's bring this back up. Just a list of, let's see, item manager right here, scripts and whatnot that I have. And so let's see, it's 8, 7, 9. Brings up this tool here. So this is the rounded edges tool. And what this does, I need to open up the right panel here and bring this here up. So if I run this on here and I want to do, let's do medium, same surface, it creates this locator, and it adds these materials. And you can see we have rounded edges material and rounded edges same surface material, which is the one we just added. So we just added this to all of them. And you can see the it's being affected. If I click on this here, I can, well, let's back up a little bit. If I reapply, well, let's go in here like so, and 9 do large, and then over here do 9 and very small. And you can see this one here has a nice large, and this one here is pretty tight. This one here is pretty tight. So they're two separate. It works well that way. And then if I go over here, but the purpose of this tool is so that way you have a couple of settings that can be used in any scene, and you can change the scene scale by doing this here. So you can see it's a much tighter here. So say if you have a small bolt, or the same geometry is now being used on as a large bolt, can be done that way. You go a little excessive, and you can start seeing that this is very soft. That's still very sharp. And I'm sure if I go up high enough, then the very sharp one will start to look not as good. Or let's see. Yeah, starting to look a lot softer than it was before. But this other one is because we're going extremes, we're seeing issues. Let's go back to 100, and of course you can change the round edge angle, and you can also change the color of it too for whatever your scene is. So those are the top of that, and then we have the randomizer, which is there's a video for that. The Workplane Workplane Manager, which is useful for managing. You can visually see your different angles on this. And this, say we're working on a mech or working on anything, that you want to be able to reference angles from this one onto a new mesh, place pieces, whatever. But the thing with workplanes is their reference to the item itself, and you can bookmark it. Modo does have a bookmarking tool, but you can't really see where they are. You can label them and whatnot. But what this does, if I select a polygon, and give it a tool, let's just call it top. That's my top surface. Okay, now I have a locator in my way, but I can either toggle off all locators, or I can just toggle off these specific locators and leave other locators for the scene on. I'll turn that off for just a moment, and then do another one. So now, and then this is a corner angle, and turn that back on. Now I can see I get different ones, and if I turn this on, I can get front different colors. It'll randomly select different colors for me. If I want to, so you can see here, Workplane for multi-element tool here. Where are we? There we go. Tooltip. The first element selected will be determine the location. The second element will determine the orientation. So first is location, second is orientation. So if I go here, I want this corner to be the origin of my, clear that one, and then I want this one, and then press that, and it will put, and this will say second corner. So now we have centered there, and it will and remain. So now we've made these circles. So now what? So now we just select the circle, and we have the workplane there. Continue to work on your mesh. So now we go in here. Let's turn off. Go to selection, and we do this. We modify our geometry such that the original locations were not there, but we still want to reference that. How do you get it back? Well, this easily would do that, and bookmarks would provide that for you, but bookmarks do not provide you with the visibility of that stuff. So you can also use these locators as well. Let's start back up. So now we've got these locators here, and we're working in place. So I want so now I can go in and specify that I want this one here and add my my geometry, new primitives to this location, and so forth. So it helps you with managing workplanes, storing workplanes, and whatnot. These features here. So if I was to have, if I drop this here, it doesn't drop on that location. Now I can drop this onto the surface here, and it gets a little funky that way. Not what we're looking for. But this guy here, if I go to him, and he's now a child of this guy, and I want him at the origin. Oops. Let's hide this. Origin of the guy that I'm using here. Let's see what happens. it'll put it at that location regardless of where the work plane is. But now you can see he's also up here, and he's glued to that surface. So that's a little convenience there as well. There are other ways of doing it. This kind of brings things nice and simple and together. The one of the tools that this comes with is the Workplane Toggle button, and that's a shortcut. And I use Q for that because I generally use either escape or spacebar to drop everything and cancel whatnot. So I use Q for the work plane. Whatever is selected will become the work plane. So if that's selected, if I have nothing selected, it resets it and goes to nothing. So it's one key to do both functions. No going up here and finding toggle on and off, whatnot. This next tool, export to FBX, is for exporting multiple assets out. So if I take this guy as well, so his centers at the center point of the scene. But say I've been working with this asset, tables, chairs. I've been bringing the scene. Now I want to do an export the item out for whatever the workflow is. I know Bridge and whatnot for Unity and Unreal have some conveniences there, but if that's not working for you and you need to have your item at the origin, but yet your scene has these guys all over here and twisted. Let me twist this that way and then move them over here. So we got two items that are centers are not on the not in at the origin, and they're rotated. So if I go here and select these two, I have the option to export from the origin. So what it'll do is it'll go through each item and export separately. And if I have this toggled on, it'll move each one to the center and then put it back to its original location. If you also want to remove the rotation, so it'll square it up to the origin, 0, 0, 0 everywhere. It'll do that as well, and you don't have to do both or this one first. You can do just remove the rotation and whatnot. You have project presets, which comes from here. You create your project preset and do that here, and then the FBX presets brings up the standard FBX presets from the preferences dialog, which keeps it convenient. Set your settings here. Not that one. I want FBX edit preset. Why? Unity animated and whatnot, and then close this. Edit normal map presets. Whatever you want to need to do. Set your path, so it can take whatever address you want in there. Select your items and press. So as you can see, I just did this at 7 p.m. right now. So these two files takes on the layer name and just exports them. Preset export presets. So if you have presets that I've been working on, this will create the preset. Now when I say preset, I'm talking these types of presets, these guys here. So in that vein, it will set up the scene so it will render this to give you a nice picture to go with your preset and create the preset file to go into your folder. Foundation. This sets up default startup scenes. Startup, however you want your initial scene when you do a new scene with lights and whatever, it will bring that in for you. So if you do box modeling or male figure head or whatever, then it'll do that. And I'm not demonstrating right now because I currently have an issue with the link, the path name for where the reference file is. So I need to fix that before I for that. And then goes through all of that. And then let's see, go back to preferences, finish off with that. up here in Jukebox. So what Jukebox does, you specify a path, put in a file for where all the scripts that you want access to, and it will have a drop-down list of all the files that you want. So you can have it show up in Common Tools. If I go here, you can see it pop up here, and it'll just show the whole list of scripts at that location. You can also show it in the menu bar. Key mapping. Everything that I've done has a key map, and this one gets long. Scripts. There's a lot here. So anytime you see this, that means that there's a file driving these shortcuts. But if you don't want the default, these are my preferences. If you don't want this feature, then or the settings that I use, then just uncheck this, and then uncheck them all, or just one of them, whichever. And you kind of see what each one is associated with. Uncheck them, and then you can do one or whatever. This command here and this command and this command, they're all the same. They're all pointing the same thing. So you can just click once, apply the key mapping. It will rewrite the configuration file, and it'll say must reset preferences for changes to take effect. Okay, and then you just got to go and reset preferences. So I'm going to turn this back on and reset that so I don't, and then do that. There we go. Options. We've gone through that already. Easy move. You can set the move distance here. Oh, that's a big one. So the prefix suffix operator. We have, okay, so we have that. We have primitives. You can specify the number of sides, or basically, for the longest time, I felt that we were, at the mercy of whatever was set here. And you'd have to go and make your own tool preset for that to work, and then save it and whatnot. Here's a ways you can actually change things on relatively easily if you need to, but for the most part it'll stay the same, and you can change all those different, all the different settings that you need before and for all the different options. And then viewport master is actually as an integrated kit from Keith Shepherd, and I did a little work with that to this is the one that shows up in the kits bar, and that's this one here. So if I actually so you can set up your viewport settings, save them, and then you have it shows up in a list in a file here. Click on that and you get those settings. Very convenient when you're doing when you're changing things around all the time. So anyways, the last piece I want to show is we have this. We go over here to item manager. We have, so this one here will take, you can have these guys here are kind of, you are receiving an asset from someone, and they use their own naming convention and their spaces, or you need to fix things. So you can do wholesale changes. Now, you can rename and do search, replace, and whatnot, but I'm not actually sure. So start or end and start count 1. Number of characters removed from the name. Okay, so that just takes things off the end. We'll take 2, and yes, takes off the end. And then search, replace, find. So this will do. Let's actually rename some. Let's actually do this here. So rename selected base name. This is useful when you are, let's say you unmerge a mesh and everything now has the same name. So you do this, but you don't know what everything is when you just stack, because all it says is the same. So this way here, you select all of the items you want to rename, and then it gives you a dialog. It selects it and hides everything else except for the one you want to rename. So now I can see, oh, that's a pill. I've got a that's a box. They're all the boxes at this point, but cube, box 2. I got some spaces in there. Box 3, cube 3, and cube 4. So now I have some spaces in there and whatnot. I don't really like that. So now I can go in and do remove spaces from my names, and you can replace it with nothing underscore or this here. I'm going to replace it with the spaces with nothing, actually an underscore, and now I have all spaces in there. We select those and rename with prefix, suffix. The prefix I'm going to do low, and then the next one is going to be suffix is poly. So now everything has low and poly on prefix and suffix. But say I made a mistake. Now I got to go back and rechange. And I get one step. With the default stuff, I would have to do search replace or strip characters or something like that to get back to basics. But with mine, you just go rename suffix prefix, and the prefix will go with high, and I want to do HP, high HP. So there we go, done. Then we have, you can do the same thing with adding a number to them if you want to increment them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, and then the next one, so I need to take this guy and actually just do this, select them all, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, put them all on center. This works based off of the center being at center, but the mesh being elsewhere. Okay, so now I select all these guys, and I want them all on these to be centered and whatnot, so I can select the items, and I want to center them on the Z. So now they're all on the Z that way. And then Y and X brings, oops, I gotta select them all. That would help. Y and X. And of course, so now they're all at the center point, and I can work with them for exporting or whatever, depending on what your workflow is. So say you have a bunch of it, this next one's scale uniformly. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale them all, the pill and the cube, everything to be the same size. So you get a little dialog. I'm going to go in the longest axis. Y will work for this as well. And they're all 1 meter pieces right now. So I'm going to do 20 centimeters and go from there, and now they're all 20 centimeters tall. And you can see they all fit inside and whatnot. So that can be useful. This one here takes a list of items and creates a point at the center of each item. They're all in the same spot right now, but I'll just fire this off, and you'll see that it made, supposed to, point cloud right here. So there should be and 7 points right in one location for all the pieces that were there. Sort by area. So say you've got one item, and you got a, say this cube right here, and you got it decorated with all kinds of small pieces. But I mean, I'm talking a lot, 1,000 pieces as islands of polygons like bolts or something. You select one bit of bolt, and it will. Actually, I'll put a video, a separate video. This is getting a bit on the long side. quite long, and I'll do the rest of these guys here. Again, these are pretty quick, but this one here will separate. You set the threshold, and it will put all everything equal and smaller in one layer, and everything larger in another layer, and save the original layer, of course. This one finds all verts on an edge, basically in any vert with connected to only two edges. And like this in a 3D scenario. So if I do this and then move, so now I got some points here, and it will select lone edges on an edge, so it will select all those guys for me. I believe this will also, yeah, that got rid of them as well, but not all. But doesn't always get this. So you didn't get this one. Not sure why. I had to do it again. So the script will find those. Yes, I'll put another video together for these remaining ones here. For now, that'll be it. And I'll put a link in here for getting the kit, and I hope you enjoy. Let me know if you have any questions or have areas where you'd like to see a feature added or improved, or find a bug or something that needs some work. Thank you, until next time.